What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Zeal cigar review. And have you heard all the noise about torpedoes right now? All the controversy around torpedoes. Are they illegal? Do they look funny? What's the point? And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm gonna assume you probably don't know what's going on with the MLB right now and the new funny torpedo-shaped bats, which inspired me to smoke a cigar that I haven't smoked yet. That's a torpedo. And we'll talk about the Tactical Torpedo by Zeal Cigars, all next on the Zeal Cigar Review. Now, if that intro didn't make any sense to you at all because you don't follow baseball, I understand. But recently, the Yankees, who hired a physicist a few years ago that used to work on their team, who I think actually works for the Marlins now, noticed on film that there were a few batters that were hitting the ball at a lower point on the bat closer to the handle. So this physicist had an idea to move the thickness of the bat more towards the sweet spot, creating this funny looking baseball bat. Now, there's talk about, should it be illegal? They changed something that's been the same forever. Are these torpedo bats OP? Are they overpowered? Well, let's talk about Torpedo Cigars. I'm personally not a huge fan of torpedoes. It is not a size I will grab if I have the option not to. And that's just a personal preference. But there's a lot of people that swear by torpedoes. And they swear that there is a very specific smoking experience that is enhanced by the smoke channeling down through the tip of this torpedo, if you will. And that inspired me to not only kind of put together a little torpedo sampler, but also to smoke a torpedo that I haven't smoked yet, and that is the Tactical Torpedo. And you know there's only one way to find out what this cigar tastes like. You know what we gotta do.
We gotta cut, light, and
smoke. I'm not gonna lie, for it being tapered down, it's got a really nice draw. And when I cut torpedoes, if I don't use a V-cut, I typically cut them on an angle versus just kind of snipping the end off and just getting like a little bit of a surface area. Just kind of angle that cutter just a tad. You get a little bit more smoking area. Now this Tactical Torpedo is all Dominican. You got a Dominican Habano wrapper, and then you have a little bit of a Connecticut and a little bit of this Candela wrapper that kind of that kind of barber pull around this Habano wrapper. Right at first light, it's a little buttery, a little bit of spice, still some youngness a little bit to it. That could be the Candela. I'm going to get into it a little bit more and kind of tell you about all the torpedo cigars that I grabbed in lieu of the controversial Torpedo Bats that are being considered OP in the MLB at the moment. So here are some of my favorite torpedo cigars that I got laying around right now. The Luciano Dreamer. This is a really good cigar. It's probably one of the more full-bodied cigars in the Luciano lineup because most of their cigars are super balanced. Their Foreign Affair was on the Cigar Aficionado's top 10 list last year. I believe it was number 9. Luciano makes some amazing cigars. They used to make cigars for a lot of other people and finally decided that they wanted to just make stuff for themselves. So Luciano is a little bit of a newer brand to people, but the company is not new in any way, shape, or form. And they make amazing cigars. Also threw in one of my recent most favorite brands that I've really fallen in love with, and that's Casa Magna and Cusada. And what we have here is the Casa Magna Maduro, which just came out this year. And what's awesome about this cigar is Manuel Cusada's daughter played a huge hand in blending this cigar. To me, that's super cool. Anytime somebody can carry on a family legacy, especially somebody in the family, that's a super cool thing. So I enjoy that cigar even just because of the story, but it's also a really good smoking Maduro. The McAuliffe Torcedores, a box pressed torpedo, a little bit more on the budget side. Absolute pleasure to smoke. More medium, a little light, medium to light, but I mean on the medium side. I haven't smoked one of these in a long time, but I really did enjoy this with a cup of coffee the last time I did smoke it. Another one of my favorites that I actually smoke in a torpedo, the Torcedores. And then we've got two Zeal House blends that I don't typically smoke very often. We've got the Crop Circles, which is actually a pretty popular one around the shop. Part-Time Dave loves this cigar. Probably because of the circles on it, to be honest with you. He's kind of sick like that. But he generally thinks this is a really tasty cigar. Now, both of these have the exact same wrapper on it, and they're just different extra wrappers on the outside. Again, all Dominican. And then we got the big boy. We got the Fallout box press Torpedo. This thing is a monster. That is a big torpedo. And it's box pressed. The Fallout. Nicaraguan Puro, one of the longest standing house blends for Zeal cigars. This cigar also existed under a different name, even back in the T&T and Cigar Warehouse days. This thing's been around a long time. And what are your guys' opinions on the new Torpedo Bats? I know, especially with a game like baseball, that it's been around, you know, for such a long time, and it's been such a staple for American sports. Anytime something changes within that sport, it's always kind of one of those things where it's like, man, I don't know, is this going to be a good thing for the sport? Is it a bad thing for the sport? Now you look at a big equipment change like that. What do you guys think? I'm gonna step away and smoke this down a little bit. I'll be right back. All right, well, we're back here in about the middle of the tactical torpedo here. Got a Habano wrapper with a little bit of Connecticut and some Candela, kind of barber pulled around on the outside there, kind of artistic style, if you will. The cigar is very medium, very much like the crop circles. They're both very medium smokes. For me, it's like I want a little bit more of one way or the other. I want a little bit more of the light sweetness, or I want a little bit more of the strength and woody notes that come out of it. It's a very woody cigar. Some leather notes, some woody notes, and there's a little bit of like a grassy sweetness probably coming from this Candela. But yeah, mostly leather, mostly wood, and a little bit of like a nutty sweetness. It's a very medium cigar. If you're somebody that doesn't really smoke Connecticut's, but you don't like the full-bodied Maduros, this is right up your alley. It's literally medium. It's the best way I can describe it. Very medium. So what are your guys' takes on Torpedo cigars? Or the Torpedo Bats? I don't care. What are your take on both of them? Are Torpedo cigars the way to go? Are the Torpedo Bats the way to go? It's interesting to think that a lot of people consider it cheating, but I find it interesting that nobody's ever really looked into like guys like Babe Ruth, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Mickey Mantle. They swung such big bats. Typically, I think they were made of ash, and just the handle was like this big around. You know what I mean? So already lower on the bat where they moved the wood to is already going to have more of a sweet spot on those gigantic bats. I watch a YouTube channel called the Baseball Bat Bros. They do a ton of bat reviews, everything from kids baseball bats, wiffle ball bats, softball bats. I mean, they review everything. And he was hitting with some of these old wood bats. There's kind of an interesting picture when he's done hitting. You can kind of see he's hitting a lot of the balls lower on the bat. So I can see why a physicist from MIT would pick up on that and say, hey, let's move the wood. Tons of smoke coming off of this. Very easy draw, woody bite, leather, and a little bit of sweetness that comes through. It's not going to be one of the cigars that I probably grab on a regular basis, but I'll tell you what, people love them. It just goes to show you that even if you consider to have a good palate and there's cigars out there that you don't enjoy, doesn't mean that they don't hit somebody else's palate and that they really enjoy. It's one of the hardest things about being somebody that kind of in a way makes their own cigars, right? Like, not everybody's gonna like what you create, and as a creator in some aspects, that's a really that can be a hard pill to swallow sometimes. But you also have to take that humble pie and understand that like everybody's different. So you just gotta kind of figure out ways to kind of, you gotta find ways to kind of meet the median, kind of fall in the middle somewhere, kind of like this cigar. Very medium. Well, I'm gonna step away and smoke this tactical torpedo down a little bit more, and then I'll let you guys know how this thing finishes. All right, we're getting down to the nub of this tactical torpedo here. Again, it does get a little bit more of that nutty sweetness as you get towards the end. About right here, though, leather, some bitterness, woody, a little bit stronger, almost a little bit hot. But while I was smoking this off camera, I was watching Bleacher Report. There was an excerpt of Pedro Martinez talking about the bats, and he was like, golfers can have custom clubs built to their play style. Why can't baseball players have bats built to their style? They already kind of do with length and type of bat, in load, not in load, capped, not capped, blah blah blah, right? What type of wood it's made out of, maple, ash, birch. So Pedro was like, what the pitchers need to do is learn how to pitch to the weaknesses. If they move the sweet spot to the inside of the bat, maybe you start pitching them outside. I like the way you think, Pedro. Why, he's one of the best pitchers to ever do it. And I'm saying that as a Yankees fan. But that's enough about Torpedo Bats and Torpedo Cigars. In my personal opinion, are Torpedo Cigars overpowered like Torpedo Bats? No, I'm not a huge fan of Torpedo Cigars. I do think that there is something to be said about the way the smoke is channeled through a tighter, basically a tighter tunnel of tobacco. And I do think it does change the flavor. Does it make them better? I don't know. That's for your palate to decide. Doesn't make them better for mine. But I do enjoy smoking a good torpedo every now and then, and I'm going to enjoy smoking them even more now that there's a bunch of controversy around the baseball bats. So every time I watch a baseball game and smoke a cigar, I'm probably going to smoke a torpedo, just because it's funny. And with that, guys, that's been the torpedo sampler. That's been the Tactical Torpedo by Zeal Cigars. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.